Wait a minute. Zillow's pimping out agents for free?
So they want to...
You work with this buyer for free for 7 days and see if they like you. And if they don't, then
Too bad.
too bad. You get to work for free.
Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. We're going to start today by going through Zillow's new touring agreement. So have you all read it?
I have not.
We haven't.
I have the cliff notes, if you will,
Yes,
I guess.
the cliff
But no,
notes.
not a deep dive, probably like I should have.
Okay, well, it's fairly short. So I'll go ahead and read it for everybody and for our listeners. And it's causing a lot of ruckus. So essentially, what it says is the purpose of this agreement is for broker to consult with buyer regarding specific properties and assist buyer in locating and touring properties. These activities collectively constitute touring services. In connection with providing the touring services, broker shall adhere to any and all non-waivable duties required under applicable state law for real estate brokers working with the consumer in a non-agency capacity. Non-agency.
Okay, how much am I getting paid?
Buyer and broker agree that they are not entering into an agency relationship and buyer is not a client. Buyer represents that buyer has not signed an exclusive buyer brokerage agreement for the location currently in force with another broker. The agreement is entered into on such and such date. This agreement shall expire 7 days later.
Okay, so how much is the buyer's agent getting paid from the buyer?
No fee for the touring services. Buyer shall not owe or pay broker any fee for the touring services. If broker is going to provide buyer with brokerage services beyond the touring services, buyer and broker will enter into a separate agreement for such additional brokerage services. The fee or commission the parties agree to for these services are not set by law, are fully negotiable, and shall be documented in this agreement. Equal opportunity. Property shall be shown and be made available to buyer without regard to race, color, religion, sex, including sexual orientation and gender identity, disability, familial status, national origin, and as may be required by other state, local, federal anti-discrimination laws or regulations.
So is Zillow paying for the gas, for the buyer's agent gas? Wait a minute. So Zillow's
services.
Zillow's pimping out agents for free?
So they want to...
You work with this buyer for free for 7 days and see if they like you. And if they don't, then
Too bad.
too bad. You get to work for free.
You think they're trying to like predicate this or
If I'm a
on what's
buyer-
been done for years? You know?
If I'm a buyer, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to go use this agent to go show me some houses. I'm going to use this agent to go show me some houses. And then you know what? I'm going to represent myself. I'm going to go directly to that seller. I found a house I want. I'm going to go directly to that seller's agent and say, let's negotiate a deal.
Yeah, rug pull the
Now
agent.
it's the buyer's disclosure back to the agent that they're going to screw you. Take you out, show properties, let you buy them lunch, use their gas, and then they're going to bounce.
This is what's going to happen. Buyer's agents are just not going to do it. They're going to get out of business.
All right.
They may try it up front,
Yep.
right? Just for the sole purpose of, I want a deal, I need a deal. Let's see if this works. And then if that happens,
use
I
the
could see a
property to
ton
build
of
the
discouragement
relationship.
coming out of it.
Oh yeah, buyers are liars.
So wait a sec. Let's back up though. Let's be real. Most agents don't require a buyer broker to go show houses.
Right.
I
exactly what
personally
they're-
didn't in my
why?
career.
They're predicating
Why
this off
didn't
of
they?
what's
They
going
didn't
on.
because there was always a commission available if they sold the house.
Yeah, it was pre-disclosed.
Or
But now there's not. Now I'm gonna go work for free for 7 days. Right? I'm gonna go drive this buyer around, open these doors, try to find the lockbox, like update my key and like, where's the lockbox? Excuse me. You can. And then the buyer just goes.
Yeah, well, now they are going to enter in, go in, do the if not, right? Like if there's no pre-disclosed compensation in this, right?
If I was buying,
how are they going to get paid?
If I was buying Zillow leads, I would not be paying crap for that.
Yep.
Because now
Okay.
you're basically doing it for 7 days for free.
so, but you are just very heated over this. But like, let's think this through. Most agents don't require a buyer broker anyway.
Correct.
Most agents, and I'm not saying that if you were a full-time practicing agent right now, you would be most agents. I think you'd be a little bit different. But by and large, most agents, what do they say when they get an opportunity to work with a buyer? You get one free ride, right? Like I've heard that.
But Zillow's
so
putting
many
them into
times.
seven free rides or 7 days.
7 days.
of free ride.
But is this an opportunity to get a buyer to agree
the
to a little
relationship, yeah.
commitment and in exchange for a bigger commitment? right? Like they get to build rapport with that
Yep.
buyer. They get to then potentially represent them on the transaction.
Yeah, and educate them along the way on how they can put the buyer broker in place and potentially go in and negotiate it through concessions or, you know, whatever strategy that they're going to basically get paid from the transaction.
But there are going to be buyers that they're not qualified.
Oh, for sure.
They're going to go do this, and they're going to go, you know, have a buyer, an agent go around and show them a bunch of houses, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, thank you.
You know where this is going to work well?
I had fun.
Hey, you got a house to sell?
I had fun on my vacation looking at some houses.
Elliot's right on that. Absolutely right. It's
Yep.
going to help you uncover immediately if you
Yep.
can list their existing home.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I could see there being opportunity for sure. It's all going to come down to really nothing should change as far as how you go about being a buyer's agent and qualifying the buyer. So to Jay's point, if you don't do that, yeah, you could quote unquote waste your time, and that'll probably happen. But being a good buyer's agent and having your own systems and processes in place, you have to qualify this and be like, well, you know, I have an opportunity to build that relationship, which is the case. But if you don't do it right, then maybe you are wasting your time. But if you qualify them and they aren't qualified, or maybe they're just, you know, what I call they're curious, not serious, then you have to determine for yourself if you want to quote unquote
Qualifying questions.
waste or use your time and take the risk / possible reward for working with that buyer.
But will Zillow allow you to do that? Because if you're buying their leads, like, because it seems like they're just gonna
Well,
give this to the buyer and be like, here you go, here's an agent for 7 days.
Yes, but you can ask the buyer whatever you want.
And how much
You can choose not to go show them a house, and they're going to put a gun to your head.
how much are these leads? How much are these leads gonna cost?
No idea. I have no idea. But what?
Like here go work for free for 7 days and pay us, you know, $4,000 a month for this.
Yep.
Here's what we know, you know, kudos to Zillow, right? They see an angle to try to keep the flow of leads and or money coming into the platform,
Monetizing off of leads,
all
yeah.
based on what? Opportunity. So you know there's going to be an insane amount of buyers that are going to buy into it because they want
Absolutely.
the opportunity. So
You mean buyers agents or buyers?
Buyers, I think.
buyer and buyers agents.
Okay.
And also
think?
too, yeah, I do.
If I'm buying leads, and I see that, you know, a buyer agent or a lead comes in and they sign this, and now all of a sudden I have it. Am I required to go do this, or do I have to, or do I like to make sure that, I mean, there's nothing about being you know, financially able to buy a house.
Well,
I
but
still think that's probably on between you and the buyers.
agreed. I mean, most of the time, let's just be real. A lot of buyers agents don't even ask for a pre-qual when they go
Oh, no
tour
way.
those first few
Nope.
times.
Yep.
I mean, like, let's be real.
don't wanna scare
Because
'em off.
Exactly. The name of the game is let's not put up a lot of friction.
Right.
And I think that what Zillow is understanding is that going for a buyer broker agreement before you even see a property or meet the agent is a big ask. It's a tall order.
Yeah, especially when it's like a Zillow type lead, you don't have a relationship. I mean, I know I used to instruct agents all the time on that, like
Get
use
in
the
front of 'em.
house to build rapport, unlock that door, and then you would ask them questions like this: Hey, so when you find the house that makes sense for you, you looking to get a mortgage or are you going to pay cash? And then, of course, you'd always say, you'd always get the, I'm not paying cash. I'm going to have to get a mortgage. Oh, okay, cool. Have you taken that steps in that process yet? Where are you in that? Hey, would you like for me to make that, you know, that connection for you? Hey, down payment, right? Like, it's just so it'd be like use the discovery questions and then go 2, 3 or deep so you can start doing your job.
Yep.
But
So maybe, I mean, yeah, on the surface, it's kind of frustrating because of the buyer shall not owe or pay broker any fee for the touring services. It's kind of, for me, that's what I take issue to is like buyers' perception of realtors is that we are just door openers. And I feel like this touring agreement reinforces that ideology that all we have to offer you as a buyer's agent is to get into the house. And we know that there is so much more. In fact, that's like the least thing. In fact,
Especially.
some of the best realtors don't even show houses. They have a showing agent. And they're the best because they're good at all of the other things that matter more.
agreed.
So for me, that's where I take issue is I feel like this just reinforces ideology that I don't quite agree with.
Yeah, that's, to me, it's a tough one just because I think that their backs are against the wall. I wonder, and I'd actually love to be a part of their executive suite, right? With this new NAR, legislation, or not the legislation that rolled out, and the settlements of, obviously the value of the buyer lead has gone down dramatically. So what are they doing to solve it? Here's some of the things they're doing to solve it. So
Yep. Like Keith said, getting that flow of opportunities in, not losing it.
Yeah, they're adjusting. They're pivoting.
I mean, I'm shooting you straight. If I was an agent, I would probably still take the opportunity because I know how to convert people, or go about it the right way, right? You're not going to convert everybody. I mean, it's not too much different than going to a listing appointment. You're spending your time, energy, and effort, gas, all for the opportunity to get in front of somebody.
Well said.
Yeah,
That's a good way of looking at it.
but
yeah.
now you have to convince them to pay you.
Yes, but same with, like Keith said,
Same
when
with
you go
Before
to
you didn't.
when you go to a
Before
listing
didn't.
appointment.
Before
You have to convince a seller to pay you on a listing agreement.
Yeah, but most buyers aren't used to paying for an agent.
I get that, but here's the thing. We can't change what's going to happen, and the only thing we can change is how we go about the process.
Well, I'm
And
just
they're gonna
saying
have to be,
it is.
agents are going to have
It
to be
is
better.
different. It's not the same. It's different. It's a lot different. It's going to be a lot different conversation. Saying, here's my my buyer agreement, and my compensation is 3%. And if there's no compensation on the side, we're going to try to get a lower deal, but you're going to have to pay me.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they're going to have
And
to
so
level
commission
up.
pressure
do you
is
have
coming, for sure.
Do you have 3.5% and 3%? So now you have to have 6.5% on an FHA loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
No doubt, Jay. I think we all understand that
Pressure's
times
coming.
are changing and things are going to be different.
Be a
Well,
lot
and,
different.
and the thing too, I think that inadvertently happened before is buyers actually are always the ones. I always like to say they did pay the commission. They
Yeah.
just didn't really have a choice in the matter.
Well, that's
all
why-
that much, which is what the issue was.
That was the issue.
Right, because the reason why the seller was able to allocate the commission to be paid to the listing agent and the selling agent actually came from the buyer's cash or the buyer's loan, right? And so all of that was allocated in the MLS. So I would challenge they were always paying for it, but it just I guess it just depends on the lens that you look through.
I mean, it does, right? Buyer pays for it in price, but seller pays for their equity. So to me, they're
Tomato,
both paying for it at some
tomato,
level.
tomato.
Yep.
So we also had an update on the commission changes. So NAR released an update last week and said that the commission changes are now, they don't have to go into effect in July. We now have until August 17th to come into compliance. So we got a few more weeks, which is good. I think it's going to take a lot of time for all of these changes to be implemented. And I mean, I know that, brokers, associations, team leaders, MLSs, all of them are scrambling now and putting together new forms, new procedures, new talking points. And NAR also said that they will be releasing guidance on how best to come into compliance with the new changes. So that's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to reading through it.
So do you guys think this is extension 1 of 5?
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
1.1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think that because this made such, it was on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, right? Like all of the major networks. I think that the more that goes on, more listing appointments agents are going to start showing up on and be like, so we don't have to pay buyer's broker, right? Let's not. Let's try our hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is smart agent, right? Like again, I hate to say it.
I'll do
But
it for 4%.
Exactly. Going and working
Yeah, I'll
cancels,
handle it.
expireds, FSBOs, whatever I don't know you as well type lead source, I'm absolutely going to be able to go in and say, hey, based on the lack of demand, there's a solid chance that we may be able to find, the scenario or the situation where we can not pay a buyer's commission. Now, I'm going to educate you and be like, hey, if the house is on the market for over 60 days, we maybe need to look at, shifting up our strategies and offer concessions or commission, etc. But
Yeah, but those listing agents that don't want to, show, 8 different buyers on a Saturday your house. I mean,
True.
They're probably not going to want to. They're
Well,
not going to be like,
very
hey,
true.
it's a
Again,
4% and I'll do it.
Just
And now you're
exactly.
getting buyers calling you directly saying, hey, I can be there at Saturday at 10 o'clock. And then there's another buyer, I can be there Saturday at 12:30. Oh, another one, I can be there Saturday at 5:30. And now you're like working all day Saturday.
Well, you
on your
know
listing.
what?
Well, you just run an
That's-
open house, right? To me, this is where like teams can absolutely smash it. You go take a 3.5%, 4% listing. I have a new agent that I'm training, for example. Hey, you're gonna run the open house from 9 to 5 on Saturday. You have it preset as far as that goes, right? Your showing time, all those other things that are all slotted out there for that agent to be able to show and work that's there. Not only that, if it's imagine if you can give those types of that savings of any sort to the buyer, right, to help them buy down rate, right? There's all kinds of different things.
But you bring in another agent, so now.
Well, it's
like
an
you're talking
agent
about
that's
a
on my team.
Oh, okay.
But they're going to want to make a commission.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
Is usually
So if I'm charging a 4%,
now there's this.
I'm not saying that there's not. What I'm talking about is that there's potential that there's not going to be compensation. What I'm saying is sometimes you can make it up in volume, and so that's where that's been a mindset of a lot of teams out there when you do it right.
Yep, I think teams are the only way they're gonna crush it. The single agents are gonna get wiped out.
Yep, I see that too.
I don't know that I want to make those sort of sweeping statements.
Not
to be
like
real.
not broadly, but
Yeah.
but
Well, your
most.
tactician or single agents,
Yeah.
like your gamers, they're gonna be just
Yeah.
fine. But
Here's my thing around it. You're just gonna have to become a worker. I mean,
you're gonna have to work.
No, for real. It is what it is. That's my mindset. Just you're gonna have to do whatever it takes. So to Jay's point,
Listing
if
agents
you
aren't
have
used to
to,
doing
if
that.
you have to start, well, too bad.
They're like,
If you have to start showing your own freaking listing, then and that's what it takes. Then you know what? This doesn't happen unanimously with a lot of agents, but we know overall this is what happens. They put a property on the open market. And then they pray for it to sell, right? By somebody else's hands. That shit's going to have to go away, period. That's where my mindset is around it. And if you don't like it, those are the people that are going to get booted out of the industry because they're not going to be workers.
yeah,
They won't survive. That's right.
It will also be much more difficult to scale.
Yep. It's gonna be nearly impossible to scale because as a listing agent you become a listing agent to scale, and now you have to become a listing agent. Now you can't scale. Now you got to work with the buyers that are buying the property. So now you have to take less listings because if you have 5 listings and one side of town you have buyers coming in at 12:30 and then the other side of town you have buyers coming in at 12:30. Which one do you go to?
Well, here's the thing of all thing we're hammering on. The good listing agents, guess what? They're going to solve that problem and still take their 10 listings and be out on vacation, and their properties are still going to sell because they're going to have things like Elliot's talking about or whatever else in place. Or they'll get crafty, come up with some type of agreement with the seller and say, hey, we're going to do self showings, and here's what that process looks like.
Ooh, are you speaking to the future, Keith?
yep.
That's what it's
Self showings.
we
Just go
won't-
into the house.
We won't give
Here's
it
the
away, but we are working on something
Yep.
pretty darn cool here at Zoodealio. But here's the reality. This is interesting, guys. So 1000 Watt released some new data. They polled recent home buyers, and 24% of recent home buyers said it really isn't necessary to hire a real estate agent to help you buy a home.
Wow.
Because all the homes for sale are online, and you can just work with the agent who's selling the home.
Oh, you can, huh?
24% of them said that. Now, 76% of them said it is worth it paying a real estate agent to help you buy a home because it's a big, complex purchase requiring the expert guidance of a professional. So we have about 1 out of 4 that think totally not even worth it.
Big complex.
Do we know what that
deal.
how many people were surveyed? Is
So
it 100 people?
complex.
I know. What is
Yeah,
the
I always
survey
wonder
size?
about that.
I
I'm
know.
like, what is it? 100 people? Is it
Yeah.
thousands of people?
Out of 4 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
76%.
1000 watt usually
Hey,
does pretty
sometimes
good size.
surveys
So
are
I bet it's 1,000 or 2,000
rigged,
people.
man.
Well, it's 1,000 watt. 1,000.
I think that, no, so I will say this about 1000 Watt. They're very credible. And
Yes,
when they do
very
their
credible.
research, they do a very good job of doing this. Isn't like some poll fish that they
Yeah.
put out there on,
Gotcha.
And those
on the internet.
24% are going to be calling Zillow agents and be like, I got 7 free days to go find a house. Go open a bunch of houses for me so I can go directly to the seller's agent.
Well, and we all know from the buy side of
I
things,
mean-
and because we've all We're seasoned in
Or
the
you can
space.
represent me, but I won't pay you.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no agreement to either.
There's no agreement.
But
Just
it's-
show me the houses.
It's okay. It's a smooth transaction until it's not, right? That's the reality of it, right?
100%. Yes.
You know, establishing what you'll pay, you know, negotiating, I mean, days on market, right? Those are all things, again, I think that, again, a savvy buyer that's bought multiple properties, I think can navigate that just fine.
They're gonna navigate this just the way I said it. They're gonna go and go through houses as much as they can and
Yep.
go directly to the listing agent.
Yep, which is kind of,
And there's a lot of savvy buyers out there.
that's bush league. Yeah, but well, I hate to say it, but I'm going to wish those people some a shitty inspection period.
Well, that was going to be my
But
point.
they're savvy.
Good
Well,
luck.
that-
Come on now, until they run into a
Okay with that?
situation that they have to.
and they make it too damn emotional.
Exactly, dude.
I
they
think that's
blow it
it.
up.
I think
Yes.
that's it.
It's too
I
emotional.
mentioned it before. I think we're going to see more deals blow up in the beginning than we've ever seen before through the inspection. And if the listing agent does, you know, quote unquote, whether they dual side or one side's not represented, it's a hard thing to negotiate back and forth.
That absolutely,
Right?
and not have it be emotional.
I mean, I can just think about all of the stuff that we see and deal with on the resale transactions on the Cash Plus. It is not fun, period, what some of these buyers ask for.
You're like,
It's
what?
like, do you want the house or not?
Mm-hmm.
But we're in a unique market. Who has the power right now?
Yeah.
It's tough.
I think that the buyer has the
got
power right now.
In some scenarios.
Yeah, I was
some
going to say
scenarios,
that's it's one of these situations right now.
But once it flips,
But again, right? You
then
know,
it's gonna be like, oh,
without the right advisement by two agents in a transaction, majority of the time, I can see the deal blowing up.
Hey, I got a conspiracy question for us that I want to go back to a second ago. And I was
Wait, play a sound, Jay.
play the.
Play
where's
play
the?
a. Yeah. Let's hear it.
Man, there's no conspiracy is right.
Nope, not nope,
no,
nope.
no. Yeah,
There.
there it is. Okay,
was
so conspiracy.
So loud in my
So
ears.
since
I heard
the
it.
federal government has basically almost, I don't want to say hated, but looked at the real estate industry because it's 1099, it doesn't monetize off of it the same way as a W-2 does. Do you think that, like we're talking about, they're shutting off some of the income streams to be able to navigate it to where it can become a W-2 style of employment, right? Control, where now they can monetize off of it. The brokers are going to force them into FICA and all of these other things that they do that creates taxes and more money for the government.
So you're asking if we're gonna go to W-2? Like agents
No,
are-
No,
I'm
is
just
this-
saying, is this pressure on
step
the
one?
industry?
Is this step
Exactly.
one in the master plan of
Yep.
transitioning more W-2s to, or more 1099s to W-2s?
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember that's the real estate commission that gets paid out every single year is what, $100 billion, give or take. I mean, it's massive. So
Well, just because you're on a 1099 doesn't mean you don't
Agreed.
pay those
Agreed.
taxes, because you definitely
Agreed.
do pay.
you're supposed to.
Yeah, you're supposed to, for sure.
You pay more.
Yeah, you actually pay more.
You pay double.
You're supposed to.
So,
If you, yeah.
but yeah. But
If you don't tax write off.
but yeah, what? That's an interesting thought, Elliot.
It's
You know, interesting.
control, right? It absolutely puts it all under control, right? You give the agent money, now all of a sudden they have to willingly pay their taxes, or they sometimes get creative in their write-offs, etc. Money that doesn't go to the government, right? And I'm just speaking from
I
from-
think there will be. I think there's going to be brokerages probably that are going to be higher showing agents.
Yep.
There you go.
You're gonna have to hire W-2
$20 an hour. You get to
Yep.
show properties. Go show.
or lenders. I can
I-
see lenders doing that.
I think it's going to be more like a service. I think it's going to be more like an app where you call the app
Yep.
and the app
I
will
can see
send the agent to go see it.
but then
and
who's
Ooh.
paying for it?
yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, probably the buyer, right? If would a buyer rather pay? Hey, we can go show you houses for I'm just spitballing here, for $250. It's 10 houses, and you don't have to pay commission. I might do that. I might be
True.
kind of appetizing
and,
for a buyer.
and you know what? You won't feel bad either because, like, I think a lot of times, you know, if your buyers feel bad if they don't use the agent, so maybe they end up using an agent that wasn't that good, but just happened to be there at the open house. And well, guys, we got real like.
There's a lot of meat on the bone.
We got heated on this
podcast.
touring agreement. Is it touring or touring?
It's tomato or tomato. It's however you want.
Yeah.
Touring.
It's however you want to say it.
It's potato
Which touring?
patata.
Which touring should you use? Touring or touring?
It's bagel
Whichever
or
one you
boggle.
use.
We didn't even talk about Colby's issues.
Colby had a lot for us today. Like,
yeah, and we just went right over it.
We
just
went
said, screw it, Colby.
super right over
we're talking
it.
about
It was
touring.
all really great. I mean, Colby pointed out that like commercial foreclosures are increasing. There's some stuff going on with BlackRock, or is it Blackstone? Blackstone. Sorry, Blackstone. I always get them confused. And
By design.
oh, here's something interesting that Colby also bubbled up. So NAR did their conference, and the CEO of Move.inc, which is Realtor.com, basically got up on the podium at the forum for the Realtors legislative meetings and talked about how NAR, the MLSs, need to do better, and he was kind of scathing to them.
Yeah,
Well,
so he was, like,
the proof is the most
dancing on the
most
podium.
recent settlement. How they get, I think I said this in a couple episodes ago, where NAR, they're $418 million. They get to pay it over what 5-6 years, and everybody else needs to pay basically immediately.
So he was ripping them at their own conference.
Not ripping them, kind of, but just saying like, hey, we all need to do better. I mean, his whole thing is we're in this together, right? And his whole thing is you know, nobody wants to see the realtor disintermediated, and so yeah, that was interesting. But
Realtor.com, huh?
I got beef with Move.inc right now. So we've been using a term for our automated valuation model, which is a combination of an ABM, but we put our own special algorithm to it to identify home prices. And about 2 years ago, we filed for a trademark of this thing that we created. We call it the real value. And so we filed for a service mark on that with the United States Patent Trade Office. And they didn't like our specimens. And so basically, like, our attorney said that we could resubmit new specimens, but he said it's really difficult once an analyst looks at it for them to change their mind. And so he said we'd probably be better off abandoning that application and refiling a new application with updated specimens, since now we had kind of guidance on what they were looking for. So just for kicks, I got on to the United States Patent and Trademark Office the other day and started just searching words, and I searched our real value, and lo and behold, Move.inc has filed for a trademark application on real value, and it is nowhere on their sites, like nowhere. I went on all of their sites. I did like a Control F on just about every page that there was. I cannot find real value, but yet they filed for one. It hasn't been granted yet. So I contacted our attorney, and I mean, Jason's like, Kayla, you are not going to fight Rupert Murdoch. And I'm like, I'm not.
What is it with us and trademarks and fighting behemoths?
I know.
I'm sure
But-
they, I'm
I
sure
know,
they have
I know
their
we're, I
hand
know
in
we're
the
trying to be
trademark,
David over here, but these are Goliaths.
They are.
I'm sure they
It's
have a connection in the trademark office.
super discouraging though. But hey, if you haven't checked out Zoodealio or our real value or the instant cash offers that we automatically provide and connect you to, you really got to do yourself a favor and check it out. You can click the link in our YouTube channel, go to Zoodealio.com. You can book a demo. You can just find us in a million different ways, but we would love to show you what we've got going on here. It's really cool, and we're helping realtors and we're helping homeowners across the country do really cool things. So, little plug for us.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a wrap too, right?
I want to
We're
end
done?
it just with one last thing. And this is going to sound as mysterious to everybody listening and tuning in as it sounds, because only us four know.
Oh.
If
Little
you
juicy
already
tidbit.
aren't, whether this is your first time listening or you're a long time listener, make sure to even keep more of a closer eye on Zoodealio and our moves. We're going to make the biggest announcement we've ever made in Zoodealio history, I think probably within the next 30 days tops. So keep an eye on us. You're not going to want to miss it.
I agree. We are so excited. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like, comment, and hit that notification bell so you get updated of new episodes. Thanks for tuning in.